Hey my beauties, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another How To Wednesday. My name is Formosa Fantasy, and if you're new on my channel, I am doing a beginner series where I talk about things that us as artists do and how it's done and how we get that cute slay that y'all love so much. Yeah, so my other two videos before this one I did, one was measuring your head, the other was transferring measurements. Now today we will be going into the constructing of the wig and also like bleaching the knots, plucking them and stuff like that. So I'm going to combine all those into this video so that we can go on to the installation, which will be next video. All right, so without further ado, let's get right into it. So this is the hair. I forgot where I got it from. Maybe Amazon or AliExpress, one of those companies. And it comes with a 10-inch frontal. And it comes with 3 bundles. It comes with 3 bundles. 10-inch. 10-inch, 12-inch, and 14 inches. So we will be bleaching the knots on this frontal. I do not normally bleach the knot on my frontals. Personally, I don't like it. I prefer to use like foundation, but for the sake of this video and what y'all see everybody doing, I'll show you in another video how I do it normally. So this is it. Okay, so we're gonna lay it down like this, and we'll be mixing. So we'll be using the volume 40 developer, and then today I'll be using Quick Glue from L'Oreal. You can also use the VW2. There's no issue with that. And then you need your mixing bowl and disposable knife and this one, whichever one. So we're going to be taking 1 scoop of this, which we don't need 1 scoop because we're not doing the entire frontal. We're just doing the front part. So I'm just taking some and I'm putting it in a bowl. Yeah. 1 scoop will do it. And then the volume 40. The consistency you want is going to be a thick one, so you're not going to need a lot of the volume 40 because you don't want it to seep through. So you're not going to want the consistency to be runny. You want it to be like a paste like consistency. It's not there yet, but it's almost there, so I'm going to add a little bit more. And pour as little as you can because you won't be able to take it away. You'd have to add more powder and you don't want to waste it because you're not going to use a lot. So it's best to add a little of the developer as you can. So this is the paste-like consistency that you'll be needing for the mixture. So now I'm just taking some on my knife, my disposable knife, and the thickness that you would want on this is 1 inch. So you're just doing 1 inch at the front, and that's it, because I don't want to do the entire frontal because to me it's not necessary.
all we need is that melt at the front. So I'll be starting in the middle right here, and do not apply too much pressure because we don't want this to seep through to the hair itself. We just want it on the knots, okay? So just take your time and apply the bleach mixture onto the knots, and yeah. So you're just applying an inch of it, and you're gonna go all the way through to the entire 13 inches. As you can see, I placed mine on a towel. You do not have to use a towel. I just chose to use a towel. You can use, you can place it on foil paper. You can place it on anything that you wish. I just chose to use a towel. And I'll taking it up, and that's what it looks like. Yeah. So now I'm going to take the piece of plastic that it came out of, that the frontal came out of, and I'm just placing it on it so that a little heat can get onto it, because you know when heat and the bleach mix together, it goes faster. Okay, so I washed it out and I applied some Shimmer Lights Purple shampoo, and this is what it's looking like. I left it on for 30 minutes. I'm so sorry I didn't mention it, but I left it for 30 minutes, and that's what it's looking like. It didn't bleach too much, but I'm gonna work with it because I'm gonna put foundation on it anyway. So now it's time for the plucking. So for the plucking, it's not that hard. It's already pre-plucked, but I'm gonna show you how it's done. So I'm just gonna take out a few of this, the hairline. Sorry, I'm gonna take out the hairline. So we already combed it through. So now we're gonna take the hairline out. Yeah, and that's it right there. This is what we would use to create the baby hairs. So I'm just taking it out, separating everything. So now we're gonna, this is what it's looking like. So now we're gonna take an angled tweezer. Okay, angled tweezer are the best. Okay, so remember, you're gonna pinch and go downwards, and be sure not to stay in one spot, because it will give you a bald spot, and we don't want no bald spots. Okay, so we're just going to take our time and pluck, and as you see, I am not staying in one section. I'm moving my hand around. Okay, and just be careful, because you can also rip your lace. If the tweezers get caught in the lace, you can rip it. All right, so after doing that, I'm gonna comb it out. Yes, and that's the amount of hair I get. And I'm not one for tweezing. I always use foundation to help to hide my knots. I'm not one for tweezing, but I'm just doing it. So I'm not going to be tweezing too much. No, I'm not going to be tweezing too much. All right, guys. So I showed you how it's looking, and as you can see the difference between the two, the tweezed part and the part that's not tweezed. So I'm just going to speed this up, and you watch. All right. All right. Also, when tweezing, you need to use a white towel, or you can use your knee, but I think the white towel is much easier, because what the white towel does is it helps you to see the knots clearly, right? Helps you to see the knots clearly. I don't normally tweeze, as I said before, because sometimes when you tweeze and you use the hair and you adhere it to your head and you're cleaning up, sometimes you lose some of your hair, so it recedes. So I don't normally do the tweezing, but I'm just doing it for the sake of this video, and I'm showing you guys how everybody do it. So now that I tweeze the hairline area, we're going to tweeze the front part too, like the baby hair. And it's best when you tweeze when it's wet. You see, when it's wet, like, you have so much control, you can see everything clearly, right? So what I'm doing here is I'm not making it so it looks like you have a line, because before, when you looked at it, you can see the line, where everything started and how it's looking, and it was like a little bit dense. So I'm just getting rid of all of that and let the hairline look as natural as possible. So I'm not going over it too much. I'm just going over it a little bit because I still want baby hairs nevertheless. Because, yeah, I like baby hairs. So after doing all that, this is where we left off in the previous video that I did. So I'm taking my frontal and I'm folding it in half, okay? So when I fold it in half, I'm getting the middle of the frontal if there's no center part. I'm just showing you tips and tricks that you can use to find the center and stuff like that. Okay, so you fold it in half, get the center. I get a T-pin and place it in the fold right there in the middle. All right, and then I put my frontal aside. Now I'm going to be taking my measuring tape and I'm going to be measuring 3.5 inches. The frontal that I'm having right now is 4 inches by 13 inches. You have frontals that are 6 by 13, okay? So I placed the 3.5 at the bottom and then at the front part, and then I measure to the back wherever the 0 is. That's where I place a T-pin. I'm going to take my frontal with a T-pin in it, place it where I place that marking. All right, take that T-pin out, and that is where my frontal would be centered. Okay, so now my frontal is centered. We are going to pin down the sides. Okay, now with pinning down the sides, we do not want to have any curve. We don't want to have anything that is not straight. We are going to make sure that everything is lined up so that we can get an M in the front. All right, so if you don't have that M in the front, that means it's wrong. All right, so we're gonna line up where the T-pin is and make sure that is straight. Go down to the end of the frontal. I'm going to take a T-pin. I'm going to pull tug on the frontal a little bit because I want it to be firm, and put it in a T-pin, and that's it. So you see, it is straight. So we're gonna do the same thing to the other side. You know, make sure it's lined up with the T-pin. Bring it down to the other end, and then pull it a little bit to give it a little firmness, and then we put the T-pin in. Okay, there you go. There's the M that I was telling you about. All right, okay, so that's what it's looking like. Now let's go on to the guidelines. Okay, for me personally, I do not use guidelines. I just eyeball it. I've been doing this for a little while now, so I know how to eyeball it. So in doing guidelines, what I do is I place the 1 mark on the bottom, which is the nape of the wig cap, and I pin it down there, and then I pin it on the top close to the frontal. All right, so when I do it, I start at the very end of it. Reason being, sometimes I like to put my hair up in a ponytail. Sometimes my clients like to do the same thing and just maybe have like a itty bitty headband, so you know when it's folded over you cannot see the wig cap itself. So we're going in inches, so we go 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, and then I'm gonna stop at 10 inches. Okay, and when I stop at 10 inches, I'll come back and show you how I do the top part of my wig. So I'm using today a nylon thread because I cannot find my thin thread, so I'm using a regular nylon thread, and I'm using a curved needle as well. All right, so when I'm doing this, because I'm going to use my frontal and I can't find my thin thread, I'm just knotting one end of the thread. Okay, So it's just one side of it is not, and I'm going to remove the excess with a scissors. All right, there you go, it's removed. So this is what I'm telling you. I only not one, not both together, just one. There it is. Yes. All right, let's get into the stitching. For my stitching, right, I'm going to try to show you this as best as I can. For my stitches, I like doing a blanket stitch. All right, so look, I go through the wig cap, through my frontal, the edge part of the frontal, and then bring it over, and then I pull it through. All right, you're gonna go through the wig cap, through the frontal, pull it through. All right, but for this second stitch, I'm gonna put the thread over so that it gives me that nice looking blanket stitch. All right. All right, I'm gonna do it another time so you can see. And I do this about a ½ inch apart. Yeah, about a ½ inch apart. I normally do it, and you're gonna see how flat and undetectable my threading is, because when I do it like this, it's right at the edge of the frontal. Yeah, right at the edge of the frontal. So it's, remember, the hair is black itself and the thread is black, and then it's thin, so it's very hard to see. So let's speed it up and you can watch me. So now that we're at the end, this is what I'll be doing. I'm going to stretch that all the way out, the thread all the way out to the end, so that when I make the other knot through the net part of the wig cap, yeah, it goes through. So you see, it actually is doubled now. Okay, so this is what I'll be doing. I want it to be doubled like that. So I'm going to continue right from here, and you do not go through the band of the wig cap. You go through the mesh just the same. So I'm there stitching until we get to the end. When we get to the end of it, we're going to do we're going to wrap the thread around the needle around 3 to 4 times, and then we're going to cut it, and that will be for the knotting of the thread. So the reason for not going through the band of the wig cap, we still want to keep that stretch in it. So when we put it on, we have that stretch. So if we go through the band of it, we will lose the stretch because the stitching is in it. All right. So now that the frontal is all stitched down and everything, now it's time to go into the bundles. So now we're going to use the longest length, which is the 14, and we're just going to take it out of the packaging. It is body wave. The entire thing is body wave. So we're just doing that, and we're going to double it. So yeah. So we're taking the two ends together, and then remember how we did the needle before with the We knot just one side. Yes, so that's what I'll be doing with this. So I just adjusted the T-pin and I'm putting it through the mesh part of the wig cap through the two wefts, right? The weft is the stitching of the hair, the stitching, the top part, the stitching of the hair. So I'm going through the weft and I'm just pulling it through, okay? Pulling all the way through, and I'll be doing the end about 2 times because we want to make sure that it's secured, right? And then we're gonna go through the mesh and through the weft again, right through till the end of the nape of the wig cap. Okay, so for um the first what do you call that, row, that's it. The first row of the stitching down of the wefts, we will be going through the weft, right? So just watch and then we're gonna come back to it. So now that we're to the end, this is what it's looking like. So when we lift it up, that's what you're seeing. You can hardly see anything. Okay. I always cut my tracks. Yes, I always cut them because I think it's flat this way. I mean, you can do the stitch over, the fold over method if you wish, but this is what I like. So I'm going over it, going over the end, then I'm going to be wrapping the thread around the needle about 3 to 4 times again, and that will knot it. Also, I will be doing another knot, so I'm gonna cut the thread about 2 inches or less, maybe an inch and a half, and then I'll be knotting the thread regularly. So you you put the intertwine the thread and then pull it. Yes, just like how you would tie a shoelace, but without the bow. All right. Yes. Here you go. And then I cut off the excess of that. All right. So we're gonna move on to the second row, and the second row is what we'll be doing right through till we get to the top. All right. So this is what we'll be doing. So we're gonna go through the mesh of the wig cap, through the two wefts, and then we will pull it through. All right, so we will do the end around 2 times. All right, so we'll do the end around 2 times. Just make sure that it's secure, and I'm be using a T-pin to help me so that it doesn't pull too much, so that I do not have a fold in my wig cap. All right. So what I'm doing is I am, after I put it through the weft at the end, I am going through the mesh of the cap, and then I'm going under the weft. So I'm not going through the weft again. Now I'll be going under. All right, and that's what we'll be doing right throughout until we get to the extreme top. All right, so you can go ahead and watch what I'm doing, and if you have any difficulties holding both wefts together, what you can do is you can position it and then stick it down with a T-pin to help you. All right, this is what I do so that I can stitch quickly. All right, and I'm not quick when it comes to stitching. No, I'm not. I'm extremely slow, but I am working on it. And yeah, so just watch, guys. It's not difficult, and I try to make it as detailed as possible so that you guys can understand. And if it helped, hit me up in the comment section. All right. Okay, beauties, now that we are at the closest to the frontal, um, we do not want to go on the frontal itself. Sometimes people or artists, we would like to change our frontals. So what we can do is we can remove it and then we can put it back on. But I've never done it before. I've never done it before, but I've seen other people do it. But I personally have never done it before. But in any case, yeah, you're gonna do it. You do not need to stitch on the frontal. You just stitch on the mesh part, and then you just continue. All right. So we did the stitching of the end part, and now we're just going through the mesh and under the weft. Okay, and we're still doing the blanket stitch. All right. Okay. So this is what we have. This is almost 2 bundles. It's like 1.5. All right. The shedding is not bad, so we're at the very top. So this is what I have left of the 12 inches, and I will be using a part of it, not all of it. So now we're gonna go to the single weft. Okay, so we're not gonna be doubling the top anymore. So I will be creating a U on the top as well. All right, so we're gonna continue, and the last one would be a U. All right. It is not really an inch, it's a little bit shorter than an inch. All right, so after I create that U, we're gonna go like that. That's the pattern that we'll be using, the guideline. That's it. It's a guideline that we'll be using. All right, so that's what it looks like, and that would be the last stitching. All right, so we're gonna take the weft now, and then we're gonna stitch it down, which is, this is a 12 inches, so we're gonna stitch it down. So we go as close to the frontal as we can, and then we just go all the way around with the stitching. All right. So right here we are doing the last row of 12 inches. All right, and this one is going um, across, right? So this is the last row of the 12 inch, and then we're gonna move on to the 10 inches. All right, because remember, we want that nice gradient from 10 to 12 to 14, because I don't know about you, but I like layers. All right, I like the layers. I think it's cute, and it gives the hairs a nice bounce and stuff like that. So yeah. So now we're at the 10 inch, and we're just gonna do the same thing, go across with it. So now we're at the end of it, so we're in the closing. So now we're gonna close it off. Normally people do from the end of where the 12 stop, but I'm doing it at the second part of it. All right. I think I don't like to see like a mark or anything like that. It's just me. It's just a personal preference. I mean, if you want to do it at the other part, you can, but I prefer to do it right here. So this last row, I go through my wefts. Okay. I think it's more secure and stuff like that. It's, as I said to you, it's just a personal preference. You do not have to do it like me. You can do it through the weft just the same. It doesn't matter. But I like to start right there, and we're not going through the frontal as I said before. We're going on the under the mesh. We're going through the mesh and through the weft. Yes. All right. So this is our last row that we're doing, and it's gonna be done after this. All right. Um, this was giving me a little problem. The tripod. So bear with me. Thank you. So this is it. This is all the hair. I still have most of the 10 inches out of it. I'm just showing you like the length and stuff like that, but I still have a little bit from the 12-inch. I used up all the 14, and then the 10 I have a lot left because remember I just did it at the top. The hair is really full and it's nice, and this is in its natural state. I didn't do anything but brush it out, that's all. So that's what it is looking like and stuff like that. And I also don't get that much shedding. I mean, I get some, but like it's like 1, 2, 3 strand at a time. That's it. I don't really get shredding, and I'm really pulling on this hair. Like, yeah, really pulling just to show you that I hardly get any shedding, so you can cut your weft. But if you prefer the fold over method, flip over method, it's totally up to you. I mean, just be careful and make sure it's flat, because I used to do the flip over method, but I find that cutting my weft is much easier for me. It's just a personal preference. You can do what you want. All right, guys. All right. So I'm just showing you. See, I get like 1 or 2 strands, and that's about. And I'm really pulling on it as I tell you. So yeah, this is it, guys. I'm just brushing it through, and I hope you are learning from my beginner series. I hope it's helpful, and leave a comment down below if you like it. I mean, follow me on all my socials as well. Don't forget to subscribe and share. Don't keep everything to yourself. All right, see you in the next one. Bye.